is when you're going through tough times, first of all, you got to teach yourself to be mentally callous. That's where the whole FYE mentality comes from, right?
Got you.
A lot of people will marry their excuses. Oh, it's because I'm a felon. Oh, it's because of the neighborhood I grew up in. Oh, it's because I'm from this country, that country. My
More excuses.
whatever excuse, right? But the opposite of an excuse is responsibility.
Truth is, can't nobody stop us. Truth is, can't nobody stop us.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Mentality Podcast. This is your co-host, Lee, Mr. Aspire to Inspire.
And this is Austin Carter, and today we got a special guest. Now, if you've been living under the rock, I'm talking about literally under the rock. I'm talking about like the SpongeBob with the,
Pull it over, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if you've been living on the rock, we have a special guest. He goes by many titles. He has many things that he is very successful investor. If you're in sales, you know this guy, very, 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 very influential. Also, he's a motivator. He owns many different businesses as an entrepreneur. He has a dope group called Apex where they really build themselves on making you the best version of yourself. And many a title. So without further ado, please put your hands together for our special guest, Ryan Stewman.
What's up, fellas?
Mr. Ryan Stewman.
Yes, sir.
We're here
In the
live
building.
in Frisco, Texas.
Yes, sir. Man,
it's a
here.
beautiful day outside, too.
This is the greatest city in America, I think. I travel often, and I just love coming home here.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah. Dope.
Same Plano, Frisco, all this North Dallas area. It's like, you hear the rest of the world say, or the rest of the country, oh, recession, this, that.
Yeah.
You look around
Right.
here, you can't feel it, and it's important who you surround yourself
Right.
with because I'm not saying it's a recession-proof era, but it's area, but it doesn't look like it. You know
Right.
what I mean?
No.
And
When you
it
go
makes you have
downtown-
to keep up and roll.
Right. So a segment of our show, we like to check on like mental health, like because that's our show, mentality, right? So if you can, just let us know what's your levels on your mental health right now from a scale of 1 through 10. Like how is it today?
It's nice that you asked, man, but I got to stay, and I don't say this some bullshit, but I have to stay at a 10 at all times.
Okay.
I don't have a choice. The leadership position I'm in is a leader and an influential person, an employer, a friend, a father, a husband. I'm leading a lot of people.
Right.
And if I don't have myself taken care of first, then it's hard for me, and you guys see this in the industry. You see a lot of people talking shit that they don't do.
Fact.
Yeah.
You know what I
facts.
mean? Whether they telling you money they didn't earn,
Facts.
or a wife that
Selling your
ain't
dream.
that's happy that ain't, or whatever the thing is,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And I can't be that way. That's just not the relationship I'm trying to have with God first and foremost, but also the relationship I'm trying to have with the public. I have to be at the top of my game. So there's certain things I do to make sure that I stay there. A lot of people, they don't do if they're struggling mentally, anxiety, depression, whatever the thing is, right? It's that they're not doing some of the mental calisthenics that you got to do to really get there, right? So back in 2017, I hired a gentleman named David Goggins before he was famous to mentor me.
David Goggins.
Right? David didn't have an Instagram back then. Nobody knew who he was. He's one of the most famous people alive now. But before he became famous, I had met him at a Joe Rogan event, right?
Okay.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
we went to watch Joe Rogan do stand-up comedy. And through a friend of a friend, we all rode together, and I got to know David. And I was like, man, I don't know who this guy is, but there's something about him.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure when he left the event, he just ran back to where he was standing. I'm
12 miles.
Yeah, man, it might even
Light
been
day.
longer than that. It's like work, And so anyway, I end up paying him to mentor me for a year. And one of the things that he taught me was when you're going through tough times, first of all, you got to teach yourself to be mentally callous. That's where the whole FYE mentality comes from, right?
Got you.
A lot of people will marry their excuses. Oh, it's because I'm a felon. Oh, it's because of the neighborhood I grew up in. Oh, it's because I'm from this country, that country.
Yep,
My
more
business,
excuses.
whatever
Yeah.
excuse,
Yeah.
right? But the opposite of an excuse is responsibility.
Bingo.
And so to do what David does, he calls it cookie jar, and you got to mentally callous
love it.
yourself, and you've got to become hard to, because life's full of temptations of excuses.
Everywhere.
There's all reasons for us to quit. There's all reasons for us to be victims. There's all reasons for anybody, man. They have marginalized everybody of every kind of, like, so much that we all got excuses.
And I heard some of the best excuses, like, oh, I didn't have my dad or my mom died, and I get it. I'm not saying that I'm desensitized from that, but FYE, it's like fuck your excuses. You have to still go out and you have to overachieve in life. So for the people that may not know, where does that FYE, can you explain what it is and where does that FYE mentality come from?
So really, I started talking to myself with it. You know,
okay, that's where it started.
I mean, and it really started about the time with David because going back, the cookie jar process is things that you've done right. You write them down somewhere, and when shit's getting hard, you reach into that cookie jar and remind yourself who the fuck you are. You know? Like when times get tough for me, I ain't gonna lie, I had a fucked up week last week, right? Like I'm in the middle. You know how it is. You be doing big deals, big shit popping, unloading massive amounts of fucking money, like checks I've never. I've been, we'll say, rich for 20 fucking years. Like I made my first $1 million in a year in 2005, right? So I mean, I've been making money for a long time, and. I never wrote 7-figure checks before until last year, and once I wrote one, I've written 6. Fucking you know what I mean? Like for my own shit, not into other people's stuff, but still, like that's how fast life comes at you. You know, and so I say that because sometimes shit doesn't go the way that you want it to, and you got a lot of money on the line. You got to figure out a way to fix it. Last week was one of those weeks for me, and reaching into that mental cookie jar is like, man, I got motherfuckers counting on me. Man, I never met a motherfucker down in my life. You know what I mean? Like, and I start reminding myself who I am. You know, the other thing on the mental health side that so many people miss out, man, is so fucking important is exercise. You know,
oh man,
like you got to work out, man. Like I have 2 trainers. I've got a guy who is a champion wrestler, and he's the worst of the 2. And I work out with him 3 days a week, and then I've got a guy who's a champion bodybuilder, IBF pro, that I work out with 2 times a week, right? Both of them are friends and clients as well, so I'm fortunate to have those relationships. But I for an hour each day with those guys, we ain't friends. You know what I mean? They're you know, we have a BDSM type relationship. They're beating the hell out of me. I work for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, love it.
And I love that. And I'm in better shape at 43 than I was at 23. And and I started working out when I was 19. So I've gotten 23, 24 years of doing this stuff. And so, but I say that because, man, if I'm depressed, but I go in the gym and I hit a PR, or I push hard, so I'm still
feels
good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I'm anxious or stressed, and I go in there and I get all that stress out. See, so many people, I believe they get cancer or some other autoimmune disease because they're not releasing all that. We are energy, man. Like we are energy grounded, just like an electrical wire, grounded to this planet. There's a couple things that we got to do. If you walk around with your shoes off ever so often on the grass, man, you get your energy comes back because you're grounded, man.
You're grounded to the earth.
Rubber soles. Rubber is not a conductor. Rubber's what they put around shit that's grounded to keep it from being grounded, right? And so shoes, we have rubber soles on. The second thing is, you got stress and all this. What stress and anxiety is extra energy that you haven't released. That's all it is, right? And this is guys that work out, the clearest fucking thoughts you'll ever have in your life are after a hard workout.
Oh, man.
Yep.
I'm trying to
Why?
tell you.
Because you got your energy levels back.
Right.
Because you got all that anxiety and additional stress back out, right? So I'm not saying I'm perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I know I have to stay at a 10, so I'm willing to do the things that allow me to stay at a 10. And that's also shit like, eating right and things that fuel that stuff. So it's not easy, but again, it's one of those things, the responsibility. Now with the fuck your excuses, I think this concept I have called the force of average, right? I think that
let's talk about it.
It's more convenient, comfortable, and even better for a lot of people, if I'm just being honest, to live an average life. I mean, when you were growing up, your mom and dad probably said, hey, just go get a job. If you're good, you can get you a job. You retire one day. You know what I mean? Like that. Go to school, get you just my average shit. Your parents probably, I know mine weren't, and I shouldn't assume about yours, but I know my parents were.
That's true.
Hey, you need to get out there and figure out how to get $1 million. Like my 11-year-old son made $1,000 this month.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, hey, Dad, how do you think I can get that to 5? Right, he ain't even got nothing to buy. He's getting it because he's got me pushing him. I didn't have that. I'm sure your kid's the same way.
Facts.
And
big facts.
But most people, they victim to the force of average, right? Your parents condition you to be average. The media, even the TV shows. We watch Yellowstone or something like that. What are they teaching? They're not teaching you the wealth of that family. They're saying go be an average person.
Average is easy.
And the big characters of that show are the average people that manage the cattle and the guys that are in the bunkhouse and all that stuff, right? They show that to you everywhere. You watch TV and watch the Upshaws right now. They're just an average family. They're not living in Beverly Hills or anything.
Exactly.
They stop showing us that stuff.
And it's almost like programming because it's like why aren't there more shows that's like really advocate around being successful successful. It's almost like being successful is like a bad thing. Like I watch movies and like if you're a rich dad or if you work away, usually more times than not, they're the villain. They're like, oh, the dad, he's always gone. He's this businessman. He's the evil guy. But the postman, and I don't have nothing against postman's work. Hey, get your money. But the postman, he comes every day. He's polite. She ends up falling in love with him. And it's like, okay, the big bad business guy that's always working, he's the bad guy. Why do they program us to look at success as a negative thing? In most cases,
only get one day off a week too. He just had to be covered by the house every day.
Facts. Be real. Let's talk about it.
But you're right. Then they you know why they demonize success, right? Because you think there's people that were doing protests at colleges in the streets, like down with the rich. They've been doing this since I was a teenager. You know what I mean? Like I remember back in the day, Rage Against the Machine had videos that were like down with the rich and all this stuff. You know, and what's wrong with being rich? Nothing's wrong from our perspective, but you know what's wrong with the perspective up top? You see, the more money you make, the more power you have.
Ooh, it's a power
thing. You know, rich people don't go to jail, right? Rich kids don't go to jail. I went to jail for 3 years of my life because I was poor. Had I come from a West Plano family or a family like I am in Frisco now, for my kids, I'll beat them if they ever get in trouble. They ain't going to get in problem. I got money to fix that.
Right.
Rich people make money go away, problems go away. Rich people get people elected.
Yep.
Right? Rich people have employees. If I have 100 employees and I think a certain way politically, there's probably going to be 98, 99 of those 100 employees vote the way that I want them to. So you step into power. When you watch TV, like you just said, you watch TV, you're like, what's up with all these average people? When you get rich, you're like, hey, I'm marginalized. Why are you trying to make us the villains? You know? Because here's what I know. I know a bunch of billionaires and a whole bunch of millionaires, and I don't know any of them that are drug dealers. I don't know any of them that are murderers. I don't know any of them that are gangbangers or I don't know any of that shit. I know people who come from humble beginnings just like us that have done good by people and worked their ass off to serve employees of marketplace, and they're not villains, right?
Creating
they
jobs,
might drive around in
opportunities.
Lambos, but you know what? Like for me, I pulled up today in a Lambo. I got a Rolex on. I'm 43 years old. I didn't buy any of that shit until I was 40 years old. This is all like, I think 2016, I bought my first nice car, which meant that I was 37 years old, and that was like an $80,000 car, you know, and which today is a cheap car because shit's expensive as fuck out there. But back then, that was like mind blowing. Up to that point, a $289 a month car payment on a lease that I got from Infinities, you know, and people see that now, but they don't see, you know, we were talking about sleeping on couches earlier and things like that. So, you know. Nowadays, we go back to the force of average. There's the agents of average, your family, everybody around you trying to keep you in that average life. And when you're busting through to greatness, you're breaking that curve of average, what happens is people start to say, oh, you think you're rich now, you better than us. Oh, you posting on Facebook, you fucking Tony Robbins now. You know what I mean? Like, people start to do, oh, you got a big business, you too good for us small people. It's like, why do you think of yourself as small? Why don't you come join alongside? You see how the thought process starts with it's almost the like programming.
The insecurities of people. It's almost like looking in the mirror. It's like if we come from the same place and time where we both didn't have nothing, we were both poor, and someone ends up making it out and they end up getting a lot of money or being rich, whatever. It's almost like the insecurities of that person. They try to put that on you and, as if, oh well, you think you're better than me. Well, technically, I am better because I made a choice to be better.
That's right.
So if you want to be realistic and honest with yourself, like technically, I am better because FYE, I didn't make excuses I didn't let my adversities dictate my future. So in all actuality, that's the way I look at it because I'd rather have money to where I can be able to employ people, I can be able to influence people and help people versus be average to where the only thing I can tell you is that, hey man, don't do this to go to jail, or hey man, don't, you know what I mean? Just you're giving me poor advice, but I'd rather take care of my family with intangibles, with money, so I can be able to thrive. You know what I mean?
It's like the force of average, like the movie Matrix. I love that movie, man, because it's like you're confined within your own mind, right? All these barriers are just a reflection of what you have internally in your own mind. So, you know, like you said, agents, you know, those agents are going to keep you confined in that space. But once you break
they're
out,
undercover and usually close to you.
And close to you.
Just like DEAs and narcs.
They take any form, just like the movie, you know what I'm saying? So at a certain time, you just have to know yourself. And I think that's the greatest thing you can do in life is know yourself, because once you know yourself, you can do anything. I always tell you this, my mind is a computer, my body is the machine, you know what I'm saying? And I'm the programmer. So how am I programming this mind and move my body through action to give me a result that I set out to get? Because I think that's really going to set you apart, you know?
You're right.
You're talking heavy, I agree with that.
And so I have, just like you have and everybody listening, we have all the ability to accept excuses. You know, oh, I went to prison. Oh, I'm adopted, or I didn't get a fair shake in life. Whatever the hell it is, right? We can all do that. But if you're chasing personal greatness, which very few people are, and I would encourage you out there listening to chase personal greatness, because very few people are, and it don't take much to get ahead. One lesson I learned in 2020, they shut the whole world down. And I didn't stop working. Everybody else stopped going to the office. They just gonna have to come remove us. We'll see. I was hoping I'd get on the news or so. Get some publicity, you know what I mean? But never came. But guess what? Not all of them, but a lot of my competitors stopped working. We got ahead of them. We didn't work any harder. We just kept doing the same thing, right? Yeah. So with the excuses, the opposite is responsibility. So I made a decision, probably 15 years ago, to be a person of value. And I don't mean like high value male or some shit. Like you see people talking about today, but a man of value, meaning that I have personal values that I stick by. Therefore, I know what's valuable to me. So therefore, I'm valuable in the marketplace and in relationships or whatever it is, right? And so I hate excuses so much because there's a plethora of them. You know what I mean? That we got to choose to overcome. That I decided my number one most important core value would be responsibility. And responsibility, the way that we do core values, if you were to ask my employees that are out here and we walk out, you can ask them, hey, what's core value? They spit them out. Everybody, the clients know them. That's how we roll, because how can I be a person of value and you want a life like me or you want a business like me? Let me teach you those same values, because I believe these 4 things I'm about to teach everybody. If your life is fucked up, it's because you violated one of these 4 codes.
Talk that
it's
talk.
that simple.
Yeah.
So first is responsibility, which the saying behind that, so there's the word, then the thought behind the word. So the word is responsibility. The thought behind the word is we make no excuses. You see, here's what happens to most people in life. You ready for a big breakthrough?
I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Most people, they pass on responsibility. Right? You try to make them responsible for some shit they did, a heart they broke, a crime they committed, a business that failed, or whatever. And they try to, it's because of this, and they give an excuse, and they don't take that responsibility. But those people that become responsible, more responsibility is given. And responsibility is something that is, most people see it as negative. I don't want to be responsible for that. But see, when you take responsibility, you get more, because guess what? The bank looks at me and they say he can manage a mortgage and a car. That's cool. He wants an investment property. We'll see. He looks responsible enough, so we'll put that responsibility on him. 6 months, a year goes by. He's been responsible with what we given him. He needs something else. Time goes by. You're like me. You call the banker up. You're like, $10 million. They're like, you've been responsible with little, so we will trust you with a lot, right? And so most people, they avoid responsibility. Therefore, they never get responsible. And if you think about it, it's if you broke down that word in the etymology, it's 2 words, response and able, right? And so how are you responding to things, or how are you able to respond to things? That's all responsibility is. When shit happens, I take it. One of my best friends one time spoke at one of our events, and this is what he said. He asked somebody in the audience, he said, if we're at a red light, and I'm parked on the front row of the cars, the red light stop, and you rear end me, whose fault is it? And the lady in the audience goes, well, it's my fault. I rear-ended you. He goes, but at some point, if I'm a responsible human, I have to take some responsibility because I was there at that light in the first place. And when you start to live life that way, where everything's your responsibility, then you're starting to give more. Right? See, most people go, I don't give a shit about that. It's not my responsibility. But when you take responsibility, it's not easy. But it gives you more, because it says in the Bible, to him responsible with little, more will be given, right? The next most important thing to live by is integrity. Integrity is the word, the core value. The thought behind it is we do what we say we're going to do when we say we're going to do it. And so many people break integrity. Let me put it this way. Everybody say they got integrity. But even there's a camera in the church count room. You know what I mean? Everybody say they got integrity.
It's integrity, but we still gonna watch.
There's a camera in the church count room. Nobody going in there alone. And it's the same. Everybody's got integrity till they're all alone and nobody will know about it. You know what I mean? We see it in the movies all the time. Great stand-up dude finds $1 million in cash, and all of a sudden he's running from the mob.
Right.
His integrity was for that dollar amount. I made a decision that my integrity is not for sale.
That's deep.
I had a deal. Let me tell you how serious I am about this. And I would never be rich enough for this to happen. It just happened, and I had to deal with it. I had an investment deal back in 2019. And so that was a long time ago, that was supposed to pay at the end of 2020. At the end of 2020, the people lost the money. It was $700,000 that I had investors with me that I had to pay out to them. And these people that were supposed to do this deal, the pandemic fucked it up. They lost the money. I mean, it happened to a lot of shit, but but I had given my word to these people that this was good. I didn't know a pandemic was coming. You didn't know it was coming. We're not that rich yet.
We don't
not
break those
inside like
scenarios
that.
We know
yet.
the next one.
We inside.
We'll know the next
We
one.
prepared for it.
Billionaire status.
But so I didn't know that. This shit happens. Nothing we can do about it. But I have a responsibility and I have integrity to these people that I told them, hey, this, I guarantee it. This is what we're going to do. And I did guarantee it because it was a guaranteed thing aside from a fucking pandemic hitting. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And so in 2021, I had to personally write a check for $700,000 to those investors, knowing the other people lost it. Would it have been easy to file bankruptcy or tell them I ain't got that? And look, I don't got $700,000 to just give
Just
away.
giving
I'm not
away.
the
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
Texas lottery.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that to brag because this is a dumb move on my part. Never guarantee shit again.
Yeah, live you learn, man.
fuck
Right. I need some
And
insurance.
and honestly, I hope I never take people's money on anything
Right.
again, you know, because this was honestly a favor I thought I was trying to do for some people and it didn't work. And that favor I thought I was trying to do for some people ended up costing me damn near $1 million, right? And but I put my word on it. So I had to make a decision.
Yeah.
My excuse was, I didn't know the pandemic.
Right,
or,
right.
or
Yeah.
fucking everybody.
And it would have been a good
or,
excuse
you know,
because,
Nah, it'd
the
been a great
whole world
excuse.
shut down.
Y'all
but-
didn't see all of that?
But I can't waver from that.
Integrity.
And I had to pay it. And you know what's crazy? Those two dudes that I paid that money to, they don't know that deal went bad. I never told them that. They don't know it's my money because they wouldn't have fucking taken it.
Oh.
Yeah,
Right? But that wasn't the point. The point was they needed the money, but had I told them it's mine, then they would have had an excuse not to take it. I don't want that relationship
Yeah.
because I'm a man of my word regardless.
Yeah.
Right.
Respect.
The third is service. And so the word is service, and the thought behind it is we go above and beyond. So in life, when you start going above and beyond, which right now a lot of people are below, you know what I mean? They do the minimum. You go to a place to get food, they're not friendly to you anymore. Unless you go to some high-end steakhouse,
Yeah.
man. It's like, the fuck you want? You know what I mean? Like
Toss
you
your
know,
stuff to you.
you know, these trains crashing. People say that you know, maybe we're under attack. It's like maybe it's a bunch of dumbass, average-ass people
That
working
wasn't
on the
there doing their
railroad.
job.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and maybe that's the only people that'll take that job right now. So they're like, fuck, I don't know. I guess we just stuck with the idiots. We gotta
Yeah.
work. And I'm not calling railroad workers an idiot. I'm just saying there's a book written about this called Atlas Shrugged, where in the first scene they talk about, or the first couple chapters, they talk about trains derailing because they couldn't find top tier workers to keep up with the railroads. This shit was written in the 30s, by the way.
Damn.
Right? And so going above and beyond doesn't take much these days. But let me give you an example. So we run a mastermind program you mentioned earlier called Apex.
Shout out
And
Apex.
Great program, best one out there in my opinion. And I'm in a lot of them and I'm behind a lot of them. But with Apex, in most 99% of the other ones, you sign up, they send you an email, there's your login, you figured shit out, right? Well, I actually hired people in America, $50,000 a year salaries that everybody goes through. They get on a call with you. They walk you through everything. They show you where it's at. Anytime you need something, you got a dedicated customer service person that's real, that's your Facebook friend. It's like you got their phone number. Like just little things above and beyond, you know?
Can I stop you real quick and
yeah.
kind of give you your flowers because I kind of want to speak on that because I know you're going to go in super detail. Apex is so, like, I want you to talk about the culture because you have really made a culture. It goes past just, them being friendly, them just doing a job. They are literally acting like they built this company themselves. We get emails and they're like so interactive and they're like personalized. It's not like an automated email. Like they're like, hey, they call you by your first name and they're so like personalized. My first Apex event was 2019, I believe. Well, 2020 or 2019. One thing that was so remarkable, everyone that I met at Apex had a smile on their face and they was passionate. Now, I don't want people to let this go by. When I say passionate, they was like, this is my company. Like they was that passionate in Apex. And can you talk about that? And I know you was going to talk about before I cut you off, like, how did you build that culture up? Because, man, like, the whole room was just filled with people acting like, hey, I built this company up myself. Of course, they're a part of it and they helped build it, but like they was acting like, hey, this is my company. And they was like so enthusiastic and they was like just so passionate. How did you create that and why is that important? You know what I mean?
Well, so that's the key to these core values, you know. And that's what they're doing. They're smiling. It takes more energy to smile than frown. Or,
Man.
They're going above and beyond in every area of their life. And our events are different too because it's people from all walks of life who are losing weight, working out, making more money, getting their marriages back together, meeting their dreams. It's like it's not just make more money or work out. It's like everything. Because a lot of people talk about personal development. And I think like that's kind of a negative connotation because like if you say, oh, you need personal development, like bitch, I'm developing.
What area you
I'm not
see?
raw dirt. I'm a house. You know what I mean? But I think it's personal evolution because your character's already developed by the time you're 13, 14 years old. It's shaped by the people you're around. But the evolution, my character's not the same now as it was when I was 13 or 14 or even 30, right? I've had to go on a personal evolution because everybody wants to get to the next level, and we're put on this planet to evolve. That's how we got here. We either a big bang or we evolved from,
whatever you believe in.
Whatever you believe
It's development,
in, we have evolved from something. We're a lot smarter than when Jesus was around.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
facts.
We have evolved,
Facts.
right? And more advanced, live long.
Technology,
all these things. So why wouldn't you want to do that as a human? Why wouldn't you strive to always have some personal evolution? So what I've got a group of people is, and the last thing is excellence, which is we do the work, self-explanatory. Excellence takes work. It's not done. It's not, excellence isn't half-assed, right? And so the way I created these cultures is, and it's the same in my office place, is with these 4 core values. If I can get you guys to buy into this, if I can get a group of 2,000 people to say, hey, listen, if you like my life and you like the people around me, the things that are going on, here's what we've done. We built our machine in business. That's our slang there. We live by the G code, which is our personal code. And then we have these core values. That's the 3 things that it really takes to
foundation.
Foundation of this whole Apex thing. So we say we have these core values that we agree on. So that means your word is your word, not just like your credit score, right? And it's the same thing. There's been times where, I could have passed on the bank or relinquished debt, but I gave them my word. I signed on the line. I'm still going to pay it, And so that core value line up in agreement with everybody, plus a mission. See, this isn't the Ryan Stewman inner circle, right? A lot of people call their shit that or Grant Cardone University or Tony Robbins International. I didn't want to be that, man, because one day I'm going to die. And then you're going to pretend to be Ryan? You know what I'm saying? Like,
hologram, AI.
I'm looking to build something that lasts forever with people that'll be passed on. I'm not looking for some ego trip. You know what I mean? I don't even take $1 from this shit. I've never taken a salary from BFA. Like that's the company that owns it. My salary comes from speaking and doing I own $25 million worth of real estate, things of that nature. Right. This, I put it back into it. It's why we can have amazing events and cool facilities and all these things that we do, right?
How did you know that culture, like what prepped you to know that the culture that you create in your business is more or just as important as anything else, even making money? Because the individuals that are a part of Apex and that specifically work for Apex, dude, like they literally, and I'm just trying to, I wish I can like take my mind and give it to people so they can see what I'm talking about. Like I literally walked in a room, there's people yelling and I'm like looking around like, what the hell is going on? But like there's people just passionate and it's like a community, but it's more like a family. And I'm just trying to get, especially for my community, because a lot of times like we aren't a part of a lot of these things. I'm just calling spade a spade. And I feel like that's as important, but I want you to talk about how did you know that creating that atmosphere, that culture within your business was so important for you to do?
So, good question. So we have this common mission at Apex. It's like we say as soon as you sign the contract, you put the jersey on. It's like being in a pro team. Yeah. And your goal is now your team Apex, so you represent what winning looks like at all times. Yeah. I tell them, it's like, man, I catch you wearing pajamas with your hair fucked up, walking through the airport. I will refund your money. You get the fuck out of my network, man. We don't roll like that.
Right.
We now represent what winning looks like, whether you got the shirt on or the hat on or not. You people are watching you because of the things that you're doing, so you never know when people, everywhere. And it's been this way for me for 10 years before I was the magnitude I am now. I go places people know me and they watch because we're all in the same business circles and online and stuff. It ain't too hard to be connected to people. So I tell them, you represent what winning looks like. So think what that must do for people.
You're right.
It's like, shit, I'm on the winning team.
Yeah.
Now. I got a responsibility. I'm responsible. No excuses. I got a responsibility to represent what winning looks like at all time. And so when one of my clients messes up or one of my employees messes up, I say, man, is that what a winner would do? Is that championship mentality? I want to say what you did was you violated the responsibility thing by inserting an excuse over here. It doesn't make you a bad person. It just means that you violated this. Let's get you back and work on your responsibility capability. And having that conversation with them changes that culture. And plus, I got to be the example. If I was in here talking this shit and I didn't live it at home, and you couldn't see it in my kids, my wife, my employees, then you'd be like, man, he talks a good game.
Yeah.
See, in the Bible, it says you shall know a good tree or a bad tree by the fruit that it bears, right? And so you look at some people and they tell you that they're this great husband and this fucking, rich person. They've got it together. But then you don't see their wife in any of their pictures. You don't ever see them on the stories with all their homies, but you don't ever see them with their wife in the stories, or you don't ever see them with their kids in the story. But they're social people, so it's not like, well, maybe they want to hide. This bullshit, right? My wife hates social media, but I get a picture of her on there
every day.
She's with me. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, you can look at some people's lives and say, hey, man, his kids respect them. Her family loves them. Her clients there. These guys had, my right-hand man's worked for me for 9 fucking years. You know what I mean? Like, most people can't keep an employee that long.
6 months.
Most of the people work for me. Zach's been there for 3 years. Taylor and Blake been there for a year. Marianne a year. Jose 9 years. Danny 6 years. Like, I got fucking people work for me for a long time, right? Because they and when people leave, I've had people leave over time too. None of them ever got bad shit to say about me. They they might be mad at the situation or maybe another employee or whatever, but they can't say, hey man, that guy's fake. You know what I mean? I've had enough employees, and I've had 3 personal assistants that have worked for me years at a time that have just outgrown, and they could have, if there was any secrets, trust me, they would have shared it, so that's important. So many people, they tell, hey, you need to be this way in the workspace, or you need to be this way in your life, and you look at you, it's like, man, weren't you just doing coke in the bathroom like an hour ago? You know what I mean? Like that's a lot of people, you know?
And that's dope that you said that, because I actually want to ask you about something, because representation is very important, especially who you affiliate yourself with is very important. So I was on social media, and it made so much sense. He was like, I won't do business with anyone that cheats on his or her spouse. You know what I mean? And that goes back into integrity. What are your thoughts on that?
That sounds like some shit I wrote.
He's smart.
Let me.
No, I'm kidding. Let
me tell you this. So I won't say his name either, but there's a guy who I invested about $500,000 with in 2020. Oh wow. Okay. I won't even say what it is because it'd be a dead fucking giveaway. And I invested about $500,000 with this person, and that's what I am. I'm a philanthropist and investor,
right.
And so not every deal works out. I get better every time that they don't. But and these aren't dead yet. This particular deal is not dead. But 2021, maybe 2022. So we're a couple years into it. Still ain't made nowhere near the promises that we were given, right?
Right.
But 2021, 2022, this person puts a post about they got caught cheating on their wife, and I went, my money's fucked. Damn. About 2 weeks ago, that company had to be hostile taken over for some bullshit. It's a long fucking story. But as soon as I'm like, man, that dude cheated on his wife, fuck, he don't give a fuck about me.
He don't
have a vagina.
That's his wife.
I ain't never sucked his dick. I am fucked. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what came to fruition.
Yeah.
Because I knew it. I was like, shit, had I known he handled himself that way. So now I watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I listen too. Look, I got to listen to him because
you pledged half your shit to this person and still did him wrong. Oh, I'm screwed.
You were screwed.
And, man, and plus, I was in with this group of cool people few years back, and they were into drinking a lot, going to the club, and sometimes ending up at the strip club. And I ain't been to strip club since 2014,
right?
And that was on Christmas. You know what I mean? It was like fucking lonely loser Christmas Day, and it's just not my thing, And so the first time I go out to the club with these people, and then they're talking about doing this next level shit, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go back. I'm usually here in Dallas. I'm asleep by 9 o'clock anyway. I'm up at 4:30 in the morning. I ain't got fucking time for that shit, Especially out in California, it'd be like 6 o'clock, like, fucking 2 hours behind and shit, And so the next time we're together, kind of same thing. I'm like, no, I'm not going to the club because I'm not a big drinker. You know what I mean?
Right.
And next thing, same thing. Man, like, 4 of those people in that circle ended up like cheating on their wives and shit like that. And I'm like, man, I can't hang out with you because, like, I see you doing things dirty. You
Integrity,
know what I mean? Like, you're going out to the strip club, of course you're going to cheat on your wife. You know what I mean? Like, this fucking opportunity right in front of you. Why wouldn't you?
Temptation.
You know, that's what you're going there for in the first place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if I'm looking for that, I'm just go home and have my wife dance for me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so,
I'm not going to a strip club to eat some chicken wings. I know that's a lot of people's excuse now.
That dude got some good chicken wings now. But
you know, and I'm not knocking strip. I'm just saying it's not for me. That's
Right,
not
for sure.
I'm a married man, a father,
sure.
a business. This is not where I belong, and I don't believe it's where they belong either. But I fast forward and I look at that group of people, man, and a lot of things have fallen apart for a lot of them because marriage is a template for life that God gave us. When God created us, pulled the best, strongest part of us, our rib, gave it to a woman, we woke up and we're like, whoa, man. Like, think about it.
Right.
Like, whoa, man, that's what I want to be with the rest of my life. That's my partner.
Right.
And so God gave us this template. And part of that template is the woman will corrupt you. That's what happened, right?
Temptation, yep.
The woman will give you temptation because a woman's needs are comfort and lavish. Like, the temptress come into my place, my lair, with all this fresh scent,
allure,
and smell, and candles, right? And us dudes are like, oh, we go kill animals.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Bring it back to
Like,
eat, yeah.
we're just like, you know, we're killers and hunters and breeders. That's just what we're naturally made to do, right? And so, you know, marriage is a template that if you can lead your wife, right? It doesn't mean you're perfect, doesn't mean you don't fight, doesn't mean shit don't go wrong sometimes, or you do some dumb shit like spend millions of dollars without her permission. You know what I'm saying? I've been there. You know what I mean? I've slept on the couch behind that shit a couple times. And it works out in the end. She trusts me, but she's still mad that she wasn't a part of it, you know? But that's a template. If I can lead her, then I can lead my kids because my kids see us doing our thing together. And if I can lead her, I always say this, like your spouse has seen your butthole. They seen
they've seen everything.
Part of you. You know what I mean? They know everything about it. They know your bathroom habits. They know whatever things that the public doesn't know. They know all that stuff. So if you can still lead them knowing your worst shit, that's a template for life. You can lead anybody.
Bro,
but see, most people can't lead their wife because see, at home, in the public, a lot of people in public say, oh, I'm this, I'm perfect, I'm this, I'm perfect. And at home, shit's falling fucking apart. And then they're living this facade, and then it makes the spouse hate them more because you're telling everybody you're perfect, but you're over here fucking not doing shit right with your kids and your spouse over here. And man, it causes big, huge fallout. But if you can master that, doesn't mean you gotta be 100% happy all the time, right? Because it's a marriage, you know what I mean? Like any partnership. But if you can master that, leading your spouse, as a man specifically, leading your wife, that is a template that you can literally lead the world. It's transparency, 100%. Transparency and communication is all it takes. Like, and I say stupid shit like, "Oh, my wife's got the code to my phone," and hers like, we ain't checking each other's phone. It just takes transparency and here's why I'm operating this way. Here's how I feel this way. Here's where I'm thinking at. You know, my wife, you went and spent $3 million on a fucking ranch, and I didn't even know we were looking for ranches. Like, trust me, I got an idea because if we get in some fucking war shit, we want to be out the hell out of the city. Trust me, I'm doing this for us. Oh, okay, that makes sense. I didn't have time. I had to pull the trigger quick. Like. But I'm transparent and not, you know, well, you don't trust me, and just shut off the communication, you know, and because of that and doing shit like that over the years, she trusts me for anything. You know what I mean? Like, I travel the country. I'm going to be in 10 different cities in the next 14 days and speaking on stages and shit. And, you know, she didn't have trust in me, you know. Oh, is he at the strip club or is he what? She I asked if I call him past 9:30, he's fucking asleep unless he has to go to dinner at the event or unless I got to do that shit, man. Nothing's different on the road. And I even, you know, I haven't taken a commercial airline, and I don't know, one day this will end, but so far I've been blessed where I haven't taken a commercial airline since 2020, and since about July of 2020, and because of that, I'm home most nights, so I can leave my house at next Wednesday night, fly to New York.
Time travel, pretty much.
Exactly. Fly to New York in the evening time, so like after I put the kids to bed, fly to New York, stay the night in a hotel, wake up, speak at 11 a.m. New York time, it's 10 a.m. here, 11 a.m. in the air again in my jet by 12:30 to speak at 3:45 here in Dallas, right? So like, you know, like shit like that where if I didn't have that ability, you know, I'd be spending 2 or 3 extra days in New York and then maybe layovers and shit. So I do my best to make sure that I'm home for them too. So it's like, hey, I am out on the road a lot, but I am making the effort to lead and show back up at the house, especially spending this kind of money to do that. You know,
Your time is more important than anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially being able to create time. Because what he was just talking about, he was alluding to pretty much time traveling, like being able to be in one place.
Teleporting.
Teleporting pretty much. And you can create so many more opportunities from even making more money, more, you can influence more people because now you can get on different stages.
Yeah.
They're just endless point. So talk about that real quick. Because a lot of people don't value or respect their own time. Like a lot of times, you know, and I'm not against it, you know, but we waste so much time watching Netflix all day and we're not really building anything. We're not even utilizing the time. You talked about working out for an hour a day. You got 23 hours after that. You can make time for anything. So talk about how important time is for individuals that's listening out there, that's trying to be an entrepreneur, that's trying to be successful, or just trying to just have a better life. How important is time, your time?
If you were dying, shot, cancer, whatever the fuck, and you were in the hospital, and I'm like, hey, man, I can give you one of two things, okay? You're going to die, and here's $1 million, or you want to stay alive, right? There ain't a motherfucker on this planet that go, I'll take $1 million.
Facts.
You know? Like, I'll fucking die, unless they're thinking I'll leave it for my family or whatever.
Yeah.
Assuming all that, most people, 100% of them say, fuck $1 million, I want to live.
Yeah.
You know? That's how important time is. Because they're not saying they want to live, they're saying they want more time. Time is more important than money, but till you break it down to that level, most people don't think of it because they're just doing time. See, I went to prison, there's two types of people in prison. There were guys that were just there doing time. They were just, they were there. You know what I mean? Going through. Then there were guys like me who were doing time intentionally. I'm reading 2 books a day while I'm in there. I'm going to the gym twice a day while I'm in there. I'm doing the things to stimulate my mind and prepare myself almost through like a college education. By the time I got out of there, I'm doing time intentionally. Other guys are doing time learning the law or whatever the case is. But a lot of people out here in the world are just going through the motions. But see, I do life intently. And that's how you make the word for making the most of your time is efficiency. And so when you can live an efficient life, because here's the phase that we should go through is adults in America. When we're young, 18 to 30, we should be getting paid for how we work, right? Our output, our ability to do things fast, our labor, things like that. Once you're past 30, you should start evolving into getting paid for how you think. Because, see, you needed that time between 18 and 30 to get the experience to know what to do because you've done it personally. So now you have an opinion and wisdom about what to do so that you can get paid for how you think.
Right.
And so when you get paid for how you think, you can think a whole hell of a lot more than you can work.
Yeah.
Right? My 4 sales guys outwork me because there's 4 of them. There's only 1 of me. But I get paid for how I think. They get paid for the work that they do. Right?
Don't let that go over your head now, what he just said.
And so what happens is I value my time because that gives me time to think. And so like my time, for example, for me to speak is $75,000. And I get paid that 2-3 times a month and have for a year and a half now. I chose that price thinking nobody was going to fucking pay that, so I didn't have to fucking speak that much. You know what I mean? It's
surprise!
Like, I just stay home and be cool. It's like, oh, man, I know I'm expensive. Sorry about that. You know what I mean?
Nope,
it didn't work. You know what I mean? It didn't work. And then I've got the crew. You know, since I throw big events, I have my homies that I got to speak at their events for free because they speak at mine, you know. But these speaking gigs that I do, people pay me $75,000. And, you know, some of that goes to the private jet stuff. But the reason why I have a private jet is I want to be home with my family. That's where I value my time. I want to go get paid for how I think and do the work, and then I want to come and spend time with my family, you know, and I value that time. It's that balance in life, but my family's not stupid. We're not going to have a 50-50 relationship. It's going to be 80-20. They're going to get 20% of my time. Work's going to get 80%.
That's the sacrifice.
Just because that's how it works. You know what I mean? Like some nights I had to tell my wife last night, a little bit of a argument because I had to tell her that I'm not going to be home next week. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to be home for several, you know, it's always a shock to her. It's like, this is what I do, though, you know? Like, I know you love me and you're going to miss me, but but she also knows that I'm trying my best to get the hell back there as soon as I can. You know, with the private jet stuff, man, I came up with this idea, and a few of my friends do it now, too. So if you see somebody doing this, it's fucking my idea. They either know me or they copy me.
You know where
it
came first,
But, you know, I would go and rent. I don't like flying. Like, I'm not a fan of heights, you know what I mean? I'm not like, oh, fucking Wolf of Wall Street freaking out, but I don't like it, you know what I mean? And it's a dangerous thing to do. and shit can happen. It's out of my control, so I don't like fucking with it. But I deal with it because it's part of the business, right? Like John Madden, he took a bus everywhere. I ain't got time for that shit. Time matters. That's why he got the jet. That's why we take airplanes, right?
Facts.
And so for me, I started renting these heavy jets because the little jets, I had a little scare in one of them. It wasn't no big deal. I just didn't like it, right? The pilot's like, what? That one's shit. And I'm like, fuck, what shit? What's worse? You know what I mean? Like, so I started getting the heavier jets that hold 8 to 14 people. And so what I would do is I read a book one time, and it said that Richard Branson created Virgin Airlines because the airline shut the deal down. He needed to go somewhere, so he chartered a jet and told everybody that had bought tickets they could buy tickets from him, and that's how he started an airline.
Wow.
And I went, and he ended up selling that to Alaska Air for a shitload of money, right? And so I'm like, So I made a post on Facebook. Hey, I'm headed to XYZ destination. I've got a private jet, a videographer. We'll mastermind in the air. You can go to the event with me if you want access to it. But if anybody's leaving Dallas and going to, let's say, L.A.
I remember
and you
that.
need a ride, you know, $5,000 you can ride with me. Shit,
I remember that.
Filled it up. And then the next one, I was like, well, that worked well. Hey, I'm going here, you know, for $5,000, you can ride with me. I've been doing that shit for fucking almost 3 years now. And, you know, once or twice a month. And now we have a whole list of people that have already prepaid to get on jets for this year. So, like, all the jet trips. Now, again, if a jet is $50,000, which is about right, they're 45 to 50 grand for a heavy jet. 'Cause fuel's expensive as shit right now, right? And I take 8 people with me, okay, at $5,000, $6,000 each, then that pays $40,000. So I'm still out $10,000, but I'm carrying now, instead of me buying a $1,000 first class ticket, I'm carrying Cade, my camera guy, my sales guy goes with me everywhere, and my assistant. So there's 4 of us, and sometimes 5, Mrs. Closer. So there's at least 4 of us leaving all the time. So, you know, nobody's really covering the entire cost, but now I'm $10,000 for a private jet with my people and people I like in the jet with me, instead of strangers that get up and check their fucking bag as soon as you land. You know what I mean? So now I'm in there with cool people, you know, and
hanging out, vibing,
do our own thing. So, and man, I love it, you know, and I've gotten to know a lot of influential people because, you know, big timers own jets. You know what I mean? So, and what we do, and this is that service going above and beyond, guys, so that you're listening. I live by this shit. When we leave these jets, we clean them up, straighten the chairs, put the seatbelts back, pick up all the trash, take the trash out, put it in the trash on the way out, like as if it was my jet. And these, like, my team does that, right? So these owners, they call us back and they're like, hey man, anytime you need this fucking thing, you let me know. Don't call my charter guy, just come straight through me. They say you treat it like you own it. Like, you know, so I got like 4 or 5 dudes that will give me their jets that I got to pay their pilots, their cost of fuel and shit like that. But they're like, this dude is the only person I let use it because he treats it like it's his own. We tip the pilots. We just make sure that we do everything to where we're known, you know, and every time we get new jets, they're like, man, can we be your exclusive carrier, man? We love the way you guys roll.
Wow.
And you think the way that we look, we show up on that jet, they're probably like, oh, fuck, they're going to flip this thing down. You know what I mean? Like, and we get off there like, man, you guys are the greatest people we've ever had on. Because we're not a bunch of rich jerks. You know what I mean? Bringing our little fluffy dogs and bullshit like that. We're like, you know, hey, if sometimes they make you carry us. If you have over 10 people, a lot of them on the charter 135, I think, make you carry a stewardess. And oftentimes, like, hey, Cheryl, just sit down. We got this. You know what I mean? We don't need you. And it's the one time that you're on the job, you don't have to work, enjoy yourself. We'll still give you a tip. Just chill the fuck out. You know?
Wow. So one of the things I want to talk about is focus, because I remember you said, like, when you was in prison, you was reading books, and I think right now in this day and age, focus is your main thing outside of time, right? Because I think time and focus go hand in hand, and that ability to pay attention to something, to learn something, or to actually get something accomplished. What do you think about that? Because I think right now with social media, with everything, I think everything's trying to capture your attention, and you know, you really don't have the time to focus on those things that you need to get done, so you end up losing that traction.
Focus is a superpower. I believe we're under attack for our attention. I believe the force of average, it's if it's our enemy, which it is, because it's trying to keep us average when God made us to be great, so it's our enemy.
Right.
And its weapon, if you have an enemy, you got to know the enemy's weapon. Its weapon is distraction, right? If I can distract you from your marriage, if I can distract you from your business, if I can distract you from working out, if I can distract you from your diet, then I'm going to get you, right? That's its weapon.
Right.
So we have to know that God wouldn't put us with an enemy. He wouldn't give us a weapon we couldn't beat it with. And that's where focus comes in. But most people's focus is under attack. Let me tell you, when you're a kid, whether you're smart, dumb, whatever, they every fucking one of them, they tell them they have an ADD. It's like ingrained in the teacher doctrine, every one of them, right? None of my kids got it. They say all of them got it. All my friends say, yeah, they say my kids got it too. It's like, maybe we got a pandemic of fucking boring teachers. You know? Right?
Yeah.
I'm a teacher. And people pay me a lot of money and fucking ask me to come on their podcast.
Yeah,
and shit,
that's a fact.
Maybe the wrong motherfuckers are falling into this job. I'm just saying. And that's why I don't go to parent-teacher conferences. I'm not allowed anymore. You know what I mean? They're like, if you would like your kids to continue being members at the private school here, you're no longer a
Ryan would definitely be too real to be going up there.
They're like, you can't handle the truth.
No filter.
But the reality of that is, so they put kids at a young age on drugs that weaken your focus.
Even more, yeah.
But think about it. If I'm relying on the drug to focus, then the natural ability to focus must subside, right? You know?
That's a fact.
Absolutely. So what happens? You get 13, 14 years old, you got 5, 6 years of them weakening your focus, then you become adult, and you're like, I like to multitask.
Yeah, exactly.
When it has been proven, I forget the guy's name, but he's way smarter than anybody in this city, right? But he's proven statistically and with the data that only 1% of society can multitask, and it ain't none of fucking us. It ain't, right? It's the damn astronaut type of people that have, you know, I'm friends with a guy named Walter O'Brien. You can look him up. He's a good friend of mine. Like on the phone, face to face, hang out, friend of mine, smartest dude alive right now. Literally smartest dude in the world. He's got higher IQ than Einstein. They got TV shows about him and everything. He's a good friend of mine, and he'll tell me things like this. You know, he's like, I can't multitask. I'm the smartest fucking dude on the planet, literally proven on paper, and I one thing at a time.
Wow.
That's the force of average coming in and saying you can do a whole bunch of things. You know, but you ever been on like your phone, you listening to somebody talk, you scroll on social media, and they're like, and then what do you think about that? And you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Well, I think whatever you think.
Right.
You know, because you're not focused.
Yeah.
That's what they try to do. They try to disconnect you from people.
Yeah.
And they try to kill your focus because when you was in the zone, think about the last time you were like, I was on my shit.
Yeah.
Like, you could accomplish anything you wanted to. Right? You went into the zone, that sales funnel you built, you're like, damn, I fucking created some stuff.
I did
right?
that, yeah.
That song you wrote, that fucking speech you gave, the work that you did, the shelf you hung in the garage, whatever the fuck it is. Like when you're focused, man, nothing is impossible. So the force of average is like, man, we got to take impossible and sit it back on the table as much as possible. And the way to do that is to distract people. So how do you stay focused? You know, they told me I had ADD. I took drugs for 20 years of my life.
Likewise, the ADD.
And then one day I realized focus is superpower, and they trying to dumb it down for me. You know? And so I start thinking, what can I do to teach myself to focus? And a lot of people say, oh, you can meditate. And if you can, great. I am too high energy to meditate, you know. I bought this Muse thing, and I did it for like 2 years, and every time it was like, you suck, right? Like, I'm just in my brain and all over the place, right? And so, but what I do is I force myself to read a paper book, 10, 20 pages a day, and not just go over it, not be distracted, in the zone, focus on that book. When I do something, I don't have 50 tabs open on my computer. One tab, stay focused on the task so that there's no notifications popping me up. Like, I'm OCD about that. When I'm on Facebook, there's this thing that's free you can get on Chrome called the Newsfeed Eradicator. So when you go into Chrome settings, it's an extension. So Chrome extensions, Newsfeed Eradicator, turn it on, it kills your newsfeed on Facebook. So when I'm there working in my groups and talking to my people, I'm not seeing cool shit in my newsfeed. It shuts it off for LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, so that when I go into these social, because here's what happened, man. I value time.
Yeah.
Right? You'll fuck around and go into Facebook and think, man, I'm going to hit them up for like 2 minutes and blah, blah, blah. And the next thing you know, like, shit, I'm 3 hours behind. You know what I mean? Like, God damn it, I done fallen down a black hole of some political bullshit or whatever the hell it is, right? And then you're wasting that time. Now you're trying to scramble for it back. I show up, there's nothing to distract me. I go hit the groups that I got to go hit. I go hit my DMs, and then I'm fucking out of there, and I'm on to the next thing, you know? And that's how, as a man, we're very linear people anyway.
That's true.
One thing at a time. But if you look at my calendar, which I could go in a minute, but if you look at my calendar, every time block of the day is something that I've got to do all day, every day, because I'm here to stay focused. Like you can see, my whole calendar revolves around little blocks all day long. Because as an entrepreneur, I don't have a manager. I don't got somebody bossing me around or whatever. But I got this calendar. Did you do this in this time period you allotted for it? You know, that means that if it's our podcast time, and it's going to be an hour in here, I got to be in the zone. You ain't seen me checking my phone or none of that shit. I've been present in the room.
That's a
so that I can focus.
And we respect that. All right. So one question that I wrote down, I made sure that I wanted to ask, because you're well known with sales and being able to help, and you have trained many individuals to be awesome at sales. So I want to ask you about, is being too real okay? Because I really relate to you because you're real and you say it how it is, and you really don't care about people's feelings, because when you're talking, it's not from a point of trying to bash. It's only to educate and to be able to show people different spectrums of what you're trying to get across. So it's being real bad, especially in this social media network. And before you answer that question, I want to talk about the Grant Cardone, because Grant Cardone, he came out and he's going viral right now, and I know you're familiar with him. And he said that he used certain slang terms and words with the black community when he's selling to be able to for that relatability. And me personally, people are kind of like in a frenzy, but I'm like, dude, like, this is what marketing is. Now, if you want to get into the numbers, if you want to get into specifics, you know what I mean? Especially a lot of people's reading levels are down. A lot of people, the way they consume information is very instant. So being able to explain or sell or do anything in layman terms, it's easy for a lot of people. I think people get too emotional from the aspect of, okay, well, he said that he say slang words and stuff like that. Well, hell, let's talk about it. When you listening to a song and you on TikTok scrolling and you're consuming this information, it's relatable to whatever you're doing. So can you talk about that? Is being real too much for the internet right now?
Man, well, first off, I have to say that I do care about people's feelings. I don't want to give that impression. It's just that I care more about the truth than I care about your feelings. And I know that it may hurt your feelings, but if it's the truth, it's only hurting your feelings because that's a wake-up call to your feelings to make a change.
Wow.
I'm not doing it to make you cry or hurt your feelings or make you feel like a loser or trying to be that I'm better than you. I'm just saying what is. And in my mind, it may be an opinion or whatever, but what is in my mind. And I don't want to, like, one of my best friends is a pastor of a mega church here in Frisco, Texas, Elevate Life Church. I've been there for 20 years, you know, and I think the reason why we're such good friends isn't because I'm a big donor to the church or anything like that. It's that he's like, man, you're the same person. He goes, I don't cuss, I don't drink, he goes, but you don't care if I'm with you or with Jesus was with you, you're going to be the same person. It's like, listen, here's what I know. And this is what y'all need to hear, everybody. God knows who you really are. God knows what you do in the dark. God knows what you do in the light. And if you're confusing man, that's fine. You might get over on us for a little while. We're pretty stupid. You know what I mean? But you're not confusing God with who you are. God knows who you really are.
That's powerful.
And the truth is, I pretended to be this Ned Flanders talking, you know, Christian, goofy Jake from State Farm looking motherfucker for a long time. And because I thought that's what society wanted from me. You know, I'm a bank diddly anchor or some shit. You know what I mean? Like fucking... You know, and wore my khakis and went shopping at Kohl's on Friday, and I did all that stuff, right? And, you know, sent a message to corporate in response to my previous email, fucking dick-sucking shit, you know what I mean? And guess what? The truth is, like, that's what the world wants you to be, but I wasn't doing nobody a favor being that way. But the minute that I stepped out, I'll never forget, man, it was 2014, that I said, you know what? I'm not going to hide that I smoke weed. I don't give a fuck if it's legal or not. I'm not going to hide that I've been to prison anymore. And I went on a podcast and I told this whole story. And it was as if a 10-ton brick had been lifted, like Atlas shrugged, literally. It shrugged the world off. And at that moment, more people, and this is where you guys got to get, more people came to me and said, man, I resonate with that than when I was pretending to be Ned Flanders. When I finally became the real me. See, a lot of you out there, you pretend to be this fake you, and you wonder why a bunch of fake motherfuckers are in your life because you're pretending to be them, they're pretending to be you, and ain't none of y'all Ned Flanders. You're really fucking somebody else.
Wow.
But then when you become that, and you wonder why you have these empty, unreciprocal fucking relationships, that when you become yourself, because you're real, you start to attract real motherfuckers. Right now, you say, "Oh, I keeps it real." No, you fake as shit, and you got a bunch of fake motherfuckers. Because here's the thing: the people know each other are fake. Yeah. Right. Let's say me and you got $2 between the two of us, but we telling the world we millionaires.
Right.
But I know you only got $1. because I asked you to pay for my lunch yesterday. You told me you're broke. You know I only got $1 because you asked for lunch yesterday, and I told you I'm broke. But we out here lying to the world, so the world's showing up, and they're a bunch of broke people too, saying, "Hey man, we're all." But now you know my shit, and I know your shit,
Right.
and so if I rat on you, you can rat on me. And so it puts us in a situation. Now we got this fake ass relationship where we pretend things are cool, but really it's like the only reason I'm your friend is because you got shit on me if I leave you as a friend. Whereas when I start to be the real
Talking
motherfucker,
heavy.
guess what happens? Like maybe me and you aren't friends anymore, but that water is meant to keep moving, man. You remove that this friendship's some are for a reason, some are for a season. And that friendship disappears. A new one comes into place, man. I had a lot of bankers that were like, fake this, that, and the other, but do coke in the locker room, like I'm
Right.
talking about, right?
Right.
And then when I started to be me, I got billionaires that are my friends now that say, and that text me daily, call me daily, that are like, this isn't just some, hey, I know one time, one place. Like I got 5, 6 of them that got my number, that talk to me regularly, and they all say the same thing. I like you because you're just you. I show up and you're not like, hey, I got this project to borrow money from you or fucking,
need some from
this,
me,
that, and the other. It's like, I like you because you. Tomorrow, I get in a billionaire's jet with him and fly to New Orleans to watch one of my Apex members win the championship belt in the bare knuckle fighting competition in New Orleans. Dang. The only way that I know that guy, this guy runs the largest private security force in the fucking world. This dude is one of the most important individuals on the planet. And you can't Google him. Nobody knows who the fuck he is. The reason why he's my friend is because this is CIA shit. The reason why he's my friend is like, you're the most honest motherfucker, realest person I've ever met in my life. And so he can come and spend that time with me knowing that I don't have an agenda. And man, when you get relationships like that, man, when someone shows up in your life, they don't want money, they don't want to hand out a place to stay, a network, a connection. They're just real people that you can connect with. Fuck, it changes your life, man.
I can see the passion in them too.
That's
like,
the best.
I've
like
experienced
the
it.
Yeah,
man,
look,
the
it's
passion
straight from
is so
experience.
deep, man, and we really appreciate that because mentality. We just want to be able to like use this next segment to like tell you that we really appreciate you, Ryan, and like I feel like you were, and don't take this as an insult, but I feel like you're still so underrated because I feel like that a lot of people should know who you are, but in the same breath, I believe that you are connecting with the people that are truly inspired by you, but I feel like you're still so underrated because especially and I go back to my community, I feel like that we should all be in a place to where we can come together and learn because you are real big on mentors, and I watch a lot of interviews where you talk about having a mentor and the importance of having a mentor, and like you have mentored so many people, and you have like just online when you speak, like I watch your Instagram stories and it's not like you're just like deliberately like talking about something, like literally just going live driving in your truck, and I'm just like, man, this dude is so real, and like everything you're saying is with value. Now if you can take it like that, or if you can't, you still give it. So we really want to tell you that we really appreciate you for your time, for being on the mentality. And we really just want to say we're here to be able to help you deliver your message and to help you be able to talk and reach other different communities. So this is what we're passionate about, and we want to thank you for that.
Absolutely, man. And we appreciate you, man. And for me, I never met you before, and me just hearing how you think and how you articulate your words, man, it's powerful. And, you have a great impact. And, I just feel like I got mentored, you know what I'm saying? Because your mentality is superb, man. And I appreciate you for coming on the show. And we definitely want to be the conduit to have your message spread out through our platform to anybody that can get to. So definitely appreciate that time.
I just want to help people, man. I really do. And, you said the underrated thing, and I feel the same. But I've come to the realization, and this is an excuse because I got one of those, but I come to the realization that, and this about 3-4 years ago, it dawned on me that I'm really attracting real people, right? Like people that have come to grips with that conversation we just had.
Yeah.
They let the fakeness go, they embrace their past or whatever. There's a lot of people that aren't ready for that. You mentioned Grant. He's one of those people that he's shit on me a couple times over the years, and I don't think he has like racism issues, or I just think he's insensitive because he's got a big ego.
Right.
But you look at a guy like that, and again, he's successful, he's winning, but he's got a good family. But you look at the flash that he's always showing you.
Yeah.
You realize now he's walking with a gold chain with 10X and shit.
Yep.
I mean, you're 63 years old, dude. You know
Yep.
what's next? An earring? You know what I mean? Like,
Nose ring.
there becomes a time where you need to take this shit out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had them. I'm not shitting on it, but I'm 40 now. I'm over
Likewise,
that.
yeah.
And, and this whole flashy thing. So, and it's not. I'm not saying he doesn't have money, but he's got a lot of debt too, and and the economy's changed and stuff, and he's only been up like this for a couple of years now, maybe 4 or 5 years. He's got a lot of time behind the scenes, but we're still watching him. But a lot of people are attracted to him because he's putting on a facade. I don't think Grant is who we think he is. He might be a way better person than we think he is. He might be way worse, but something tells me he's not who we think he is. Right?
I agree.
All. Not good or bad, but something tells me that. Same with a lot of the other influencers that are bigger. And I'm not saying that I'm better than them or anything like that, but there's a lot of other famous influencers that it's easy to go, I know fake when I see it, and that's where I fit in. Not that's what they really say, but they say, oh, this story is a lot like mine because I'm kind of bullshit, maybe too in this area, so it's easier for them to link up. But for a fact, if you link up with me and you say something or whatever, I'm a man that's dug a hole with a shovel, meaning I've got the forearms of a shovel digger, not a guy who just stumbled across a hole and acted like I dug that thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I get to have a real conversation with you because I know. And a lot of people ain't ready for that yet because you have to decide to give up that fake in order to hear the real, And a lot of people are scared to death. But if you're out there listening, it's the biggest breakthrough thing you'll ever do in your life is to lay your burden on God and lay your burdens back on man and let that shit go and you'll live your life. I can't tell you how many people I've helped. You can Google my name on Amazon. You'll see I've helped a bunch of people write books. And these people telling their story of drug addiction, prison, adoption, abuse, rape, all these things that people have had to overcome, man, they'll all hit me back up and say, man, the greatest thing I ever did was tell my story. Even if nobody fucking listens to it, at least I don't got to carry it no more.
Burden lifted.
That's deep.
Yep.
Burden lifted. So
that's how you get real. That's that first step is getting real and then staying real. I had to go through it in 2014, so it's not like I've been living this life my whole life. It's not like I'm sitting here saying I'm never perfect, but I've been perfect since day one. It's like, man, I lived that fake ass life for a long time. Man, I had to hide that I was a felon. I didn't want. I'm a banker. I don't want you to know that I went to fucking prison. Then that caused all sorts of damn. I'm already handling rate objections. I don't need fucking personality objections too. You know what I mean? I gotta hide all of this shit. You know what I mean? From my past. It's like you sending me your social security card and your social security number and your tax returns. You find I've been to prison, been adopted, fucking smoke weed and shit. You're like, give me that shit back, right? Like I had to pretend to be this other person, but man, if I was to go start writing mortgages now, I could start Felon Mortgage Company, and my reputation's so good that I'd be the fucking biggest mortgage broker in the fucking state before the decade was up because of the realness that I would attract there.
And that's what we respect. And that's what we respect. And we really appreciate you, Ryan. For once again, if you've been living on the rock, can you please tell people how can they be able to get or be a part of your movement and what you're a part of? How can they find you? Where can they find you? Can you please tell our listeners that?
Absolutely. You can go to onespotsocial.com/closer. All my social media's there. All my websites are there. I own that software company. It's free. Feel free to use it. It's better than Linktree. I'm just saying. And feel free to use it. But you go to onespotsocial.com/closer. Listen, I will never, if you follow me, I have a big enough following to where people might DM you and shit. I will never ask you for nothing. I only got one profile on every platform. It's the one with the blue check. Anything else ain't me. So I'm not saying that will happen, but I will never slide in your DMs and be like, join my shit or give me Bitcoin or any of that shit that seems to happen on the internet. Yeah. All my profiles are verified, but you can always DM me and I'll talk to you if you start the conversation.
Yeah, that way.
Good. With that being said, make sure y'all stay true to yourself. This is Lee.
This is Austin Carter.
And this is Ryan Stewman.
All right. We out.